couple requests asking me for an updated how I organize my diabetes supplies. At first I sort of thought, does anyone really care? And then when I sort of got into thinking about it, I thought, well, actually, the system I have, and we're all different, so not necessarily this is not going to work for you, but the system I have helps me stay organized with my supplies, know what I have, know when I'm running low, know when I need to either refill a prescription or bug my doctor to give me a replenishment on a prescription. It just gives me a sense of calm and a structure within the management of my type 1 diabetes that I very, very, very much appreciate. I find that if I have my things organized, I don't have to think so much about it. I don't have to go searching. I don't have to wonder, do I have enough of that? When did I last refill? How many more do I have of that? Like, it's a little bit more streamlined, which for me brings a great sense of calm and a little bit less stress to what is a pretty stressful condition to live with. And it doesn't hurt that I really like organizing. I like order. I like visual order especially, but I very much find having order allows me to focus on other things. So once I have a structure of order to rely on, then I can turn my brain off for that aspect because I know it's taken care of and I have a structure, and focus on other things. Which anytime I can take my mind off of anything to do with type 1 diabetes by automating it or organizing it, that is a huge win for me. To give you a little context, I'm in our open plan kind of kitchen living area, but this is sort of a built-in storage system, and I have taken up the entire center section, which is the largest section, with specifically and only my type 1 diabetes supplies. So my first row up here is like sort of my grab and go stuff. So stuff that I need fairly regularly to change pods, Dexcoms, that sort of thing. Up here I have alcohol swabs, then I have Omnipod pods, Dexcoms, and a Dexcom transmitter, spare one, and then low blood sugar supplies. So glucose tablets and some fruit snacks, and then like emergency low blood sugar glucose stuff, which I've never had to use, thank goodness, but it's there just in case. So when it comes to changing a site, I pretty much only interact with this top drawer. I will grab this plastic box, which has alcohol swabs in it. It has a couple Band-Aids in case I take a pod off and it's bleeding. I have a pen in here that I use to just tap the side of syringes to get the bubbles out, that type of thing. I don't really know why I got started using this plastic box, but it's really helpful to just kind of grab, bring to the counter, and then I grab a pod or a Dexcom, what have you, quickly do my site change, and that is that. Something kind of interesting that I do with my glucose tablets is I have a bunch of to-go tubes in here, and when I am running low or there's only a few tabs left, I will stick it back in here, find one that has tabs in it. See, that one's got like a few, but it's not full. There we go. That's a full one. So I will take a full one out and leave the empty container in here, and then I know sort of when I'm shaken away and there's not much left, I know it's time to refill those tubes with the glucose tablets that I buy in the bigger, jar things that come with like 50 glucose tablets. Now, I did realize recently I went to refill and I didn't have any. So I do have tubes full, so it's not like I'm out of glucose tablets, but that was a reminder to me to order the bulk glucose tablets on Amazon that I use to refill these tubes. That's just a little hack that I started up because I realized one time, or several times, that I would have a tube of glucose tablets in my purse and I'd assume, okay, I have glucose tablets with me. But then I'd have a low blood sugar, I'd go to get the glucose tablets out of my purse and realize, oh, there's only one in here or whatever. And that's not very helpful. So I try to make it a real habit of, if I've used several glucose tablets, stick that tube in here, get a fresh one out that's full to the brim, and then replenish these as and when they need to be replenished. Moving down to the second row, I have lied a little bit in that these two containers are sort of filled with supplements, my thyroid medication, that kind of thing. So these two are kind of medical related, but not type 1 diabetes related, or health related, I should say. So that's what those two are. Moving on to this big plastic guy. In here I have my extra Dexcom G6 supplies. I have blood sugar strips for finger sticking actually. I have an extra transmitter, and the transmitter in here is the transmitter that I should use second to the transmitter that's in there. So that's how I keep track that I always have an extra transmitter and make sure that I'm using the one that's going to expire first by keeping it in that top container. So this is more or less supplies that will end up in these top containers, but it's too bulky to keep them in there, and also it's nice to be able to sort of look in here and go, okay, I see I have 6 or 7 boxes, I have a good amount of supplies here, or when it's dwindling, then I know to keep an eye on the top box container to see, okay, once that one's getting a little lower, like 3 weeks out, I really need to start being proactive and think about refilling that Dexcom, for example. Then finally moving down to the lowest level, it's a little bit of a free-for-all down here. It's a little bit of that supplies that you need on off and on, but you don't need all the time, and I don't want them flying all over the place, so I've put them into these containers. So the one on the left here, okay, this is interesting. I have some extra blood sugar machines. How many blood sugar machines do you keep? Like, I never know when to retire a blood sugar machine. Even if I don't have the strips for it anymore, sometimes I like to keep it just in case, like as a backup. It might be a bit much, but whatever. I have pod pails for the Omnipod, an extra flexible glass cover that I use to protect the screen on my Omnipod controller. And then this is kind of interesting. So I have here like one of my, what I call like grab and go bags. So it's got 2 Omnipods in it, a couple alcohol swabs, a couple Band-Aids. If I am running out and about, or I have a very short like overnight trip, I can just grab this and know that I pretty much have everything that I need to survive in case anything goes wrong. Obviously, this does not include insulin. That remains in the fridge. Obviously, if I'm going on a longer trip, I'm not going to grab this, but if it's a shorter trip, I sort of know I've already pre-planned out what I need in here. Or even if I'm just going into the city for a while and I'm a little bit suspect of a pod, or it's going to expire when I'm out there, I can grab this with the peace of mind of knowing that past Andrea has thought of future Andrea and packed this, and I can grab it without much thought at all. And then going into this last container here, I suspect this is going to be a little bit of a grab and go. Yeah, it's relatively random in here. I have like these Go Stack things. I actually really like these Go Stack things for traveling, but I've employed their use for all the Landsets because, you know, we're all changing our Landsets all the time. A lot. Nope, I don't. I have another blood sugar machine. However, this one tests for ketones. So this is a special guy that remains down here. I have extra blood sugar test strips. I have a couple Dexcom G7s from trying that out. But I'm actually not on the Dexcom G7 right now because it doesn't work with the Omnipod 5 algorithm. So those remain in waiting until that connection can be made. I have my Dexcom G6 reader, or like external controller, which I don't use, but it's nice to have. The Dexcom G7 external controller. I have more Landsets. And then I have this little container that has all sorts of interesting stuff in it. It has my vial safe like rubber covers for insulin vials to make sure they don't break when you drop them. I have some Skin Tack wipes, adhesive wipes, if I really want to make sure I'm keeping my Dexcom or Omnipod on, but I haven't used those recently actually. Then I have some pump peels, some fun patches to put on my Dexcom G6 to keep it in place or put a sticker on the transmitter. Then just some regular Dexcom adhesives. So a bit random, but I know if I want to put on, say for example, like, hey, I want to do a fun patch and a fun sticker on my transmitter, I just grab this out, take it to the table, do my biz, zip it up, put it back. So a bit random, but it does have a logic in my mind. So there you have it. That is how I organize my supplies. I realized doing this video that I actually have a lot more in place that I put into place that I sort of just go on autopilot now, but there's a lot of organization, at least I feel I require to stay on top of things. But the fact that I have it in place means that I can sort of go on autopilot because I have several areas of safeguard that will remind me when I'm running low to check up on things. I shake those glucose tablets. If I know I'm getting low on full glucose tablets, time to refill those. Or the last time I refilled them, I realized I don't have any bulk glucose tablets, I make sure I order those. So yeah, it's kind of a lot actually, now that I kind of go through it all, but it makes sense in my head. I hope it's made sense here. And I would love to know, how do you guys like organize your stuff? Do you have a similar kind of thought process? Do you have a totally different thought process? What makes it more or less stressful for you? What are the things that you like to do? I'm always fascinated by this because if there is one thing for sure, it's that type 1 diabetics are very smart and economical with their thought processes and a lot of things. I'm always amazed at how many kind of clever ideas other type 1 diabetics come up with to make life easier. I love reading about it on forums and in Reddit and stuff. I find it really, really cool, and I'll read things often that I'll just be like, oh my god, that's so smart, I'm gonna do that. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. I do just want to take a moment to acknowledge that what I have here is a huge privilege, and I'm so grateful, and I want to work to make sure that everybody has access to these things. And this is why I make this channel in large part, is to bring awareness to that and how much it takes to live with type 1 diabetes, to survive with type 1 diabetes, what it costs, all of those things. And with that being said, I wish you guys a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. I wish you great blood sugars. I wish you to have the supplies that you need to survive, to have the supplies in excess that you need to have the peace of mind to know that you have what you need to survive. I wish you that in abundance. And also, most of all, I wish you a happy, healthy mind with it all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.